Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Tank12, however you want to call me, I don't really care. And welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we have some more ranked gameplay. We're going to be playing the Leopard one, or to be more accurate, we're going to take a look at a gameplay that I had in my Leopard one. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of an update. You can see that there is still 6 days going on of the ranked game mode, and currently I am sitting in the Silver League. Now, if we do take a look back at my journey, you can see that I have finished all the divisions. I'm done with the qualification, the 3rd division, the 2nd division, and the 1st division. It took me about 3 days to go to the 1st division. And to be fair, I haven't really played ranked before. I've only maybe played 1 or 2 games because the way that people tended to play was a bit off-putting. It still is a bit off-putting because I've noticed that people are playing ranked a lot more cautiously than in the standard battles, which obviously makes sense because this really is a game mode where something is on the line, where every game does count. And especially if you do well in qualifications, you actually get some bonus battles. And with the bonus battles, I was just able to rush through the 3rd division very quickly. The 2nd division took me about a day, but I was able to go through it as well because I still collected a lot of bonus battles in the 3rd division. But it does not mean that I won a lot of games. The thing that I noticed is that people tend to be very, very passive. That in the end, when you are able to push something, you have already lost so much HP that it's maybe not worth it, and people just stay back because they do not want to lose their tank. And I've noticed that, you know, the slight moment of hesitation is exactly what kind of does make, what kind of breaks the offensive part. And I've noticed that the ranked game mode is a lot slower and a lot more tactical. And if you do know how to play your tanks in World of Tanks and how to utilize all of the mechanics, the best gun depression, the mobility, the map placements, the usage of bushes and double bushes, how spotting works, and how you can reposition if necessary, well, you're going to be doing very, very well in ranked battles. And you can see it's still 6 more days. Currently, I'm in the Silver League, and this would be the camouflage that we would unlock if we remain in the Silver League. Now, obviously, the target needs to be the Golden League, but to reach the Golden League, that is obviously something that is not very easy. You do need to play very well. And you can see we have 105% battle efficiency, I think. Performance, yeah, this is the efficiency. And the way to rank the Golden League is quite far. You can see we're 105%. We're rather close to the Bronze League, to be fair. We've just moved out of it. And if we move down, we need about 138% efficiency at least to manage to get into the Golden League. It's only about 212 players that are able to reach the Golden League, and that means we'll have to do a lot better. Now, the average damage right here is quite interesting because the experience is the exact thing that counts. The damage obviously is in direct competition with the experience, or is kind of combined with the experience, because the damage does allow you to take the experience. And you can see we're currently roaming at 2,239 average damage, and our experience is rather low because we are losing a lot of matches. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we are sitting at the back and we're not playing for the team, for the win? Or does that mean we're a bit unlucky with the teams and we lose a lot more than we should? Well, it's a bit of a combination, but to be fair, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to reach the Golden League. I don't think so. I don't think I will be able to do it with the amount of games that I still have to, or that I still will be playing. Currently, my main objective with this game mode is to get the maximum amount of discounts that I can get. Like, I'm currently at 32 games played where I was in the top 10 players following the experience parameter, and I really want to get the 100 games in there, so I still need about 68 top 10 placements, because if I get that, I would get an additional 4,000 bond reduction for the current tier 9 reward vehicle that you can get, which is the Kampfpanzer 50T, which I'll be showing you in just a second right here. That's the wrong tab. Right here. Nope, that's also the wrong tab. Damn. I have not played a lot of ranked, I've got to be honest. And I do regret it a little bit. So I want to get the vehicle right here. If we get all of the discounts, we will be able to buy this, because it would be an additional 4,000 bond discount, and we'll be able to pick this one up. The thing is, I don't really know what the KPZ 50T is like. I've heard that it actually isn't as impressive as, or at least when I see it in battle, it doesn't seem to be performing as well as I would have imagined. It does have very high mobility, decent survivability. I mean, it looks pretty damn neat, and the firepower looks pretty damn neat as well. Rate of fire of 7.45 rounds per minute, which is for a tier 9 pretty damn decent. Dispersion is maybe not the best, but the aim time is pretty impressive as well. The firepower, I mean, overall it doesn't seem to be that bad. So I'm looking forward to getting this vehicle and then making a review for you guys, just to see if it's worth it for you. And I'm gonna be trying to get all the discounts right there. But I'd say without further ado, let's jump right into the gameplay and see how we can play the Leopard 1 and why I tend to be playing this tank a lot more than any other vehicle in ranked at the moment. Doesn't have a lot of armor, it has crazy mobility though, you can see right there. Firepower is incredible, survivability is non-existent, and concealment is actually pretty decent in my opinion, as well as spotting, since we are running the coated optics on this vehicle, because the Leopard 1 obviously has great view range. So I'd say let's jump over to the gameplay and see how well we can do. Let's get right into the juicy part of this game. We are the player with the highest rank, I guess, because we have some people that are in from the 1st division, I think, then the 2nd division, maybe the 3rd. I'm not entirely sure which is which, to be fair, because I never really paid that much attention to the division types. But we are currently sitting at the top with our finished part of the 1st division. We're currently playing on the map Highway. This is a North American map, and it's a map that is, I think, quite balanced for both teams, either going into the field with medium tanks or going into the city with some heavy tanks and maybe heavily armored tank destroyers. You can see we have quite a bunch of medium tanks, 4 heavy tanks, and 3 tank destroyers, and 2 light tanks. Usually in ranked, you'll have an EBR 105, and these EBR 105s are super important because they can just wreak so much havoc. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, I'm just gonna say it at the beginning, I'm running a complete gold loadout. All of these shells are completely premium. Why am I doing that? Because in the ranked game mode, it's about everything, and you want to have all of the shots that you make count. You can see we have 323 millimeters of pen. That's more than enough for anything at tier 10. And the shell velocity is incredible. 1,613 meters per second. That's probably the fastest shell in the game, or one of the fastest. And you can see it does pay off. We managed to do damage to the Centurion Action 10 and to the Object 268. And what you also notice in ranked is that the teams on both sides are rather reserved. Let's call it reserved. Very passive. The enemy team decided not to go into the field. We decided to push the field very aggressively, and as soon as we noticed that no one was out there, we decided to go in there and do some serious damage. We decided to go into the enemy base while they probably have a lot of heavy tanks currently running into the city. This is something that you'll notice a lot of times in ranked. that the enemy teams do abandon certain parts of the map to just be able to defend maybe the base, or maybe push a certain part of the map themselves without having, you know, any kind of interference with not having enough players. So we just bounce a shot by the Leopard 1. It's also a premium shell. We get lucky there, but we do get penned by the EBR 105. Now this is important that we do keep our HP. This tank does not have a lot of armor. The armor or the protection that you have is basically your mobility and the HP that you have. So you need to be conservative with that. What you also notice is as soon as you manage to push into a certain position, and there are a couple of bushes, most of the time your team will stop playing and sit in those bushes because nobody wants to be the one pushing into any area. And that's just something you have to get used to. Ranked is very passive. Ranked is all about getting the maximum experience for yourself. What I've noticed is ranked is extremely selfish, and it's not based for teams. It's basically based for yourself. This is for you. You're about to do the max amount of damage, and it's, if you're winning, everyone does profit from it, but the most important thing is that you get the best amount of damage, the best amount of experience, because in the end you'll only get chevrons if you do perform. And that means all the 14 players on your team, every single one of them is actually just competition for yourself. And I've noticed that people tend to be a bit more anti-social, a bit on the side of playing selfishly, letting other people go into the fray first and then try to hog the damage maybe. And that's just ranked. That's the way that Wargaming have laid out this game mode, and I'm not really agreeing with it, but that's just how it is at the moment. You can notice that that's exactly what happened right here. We did not push into the enemy base, we did not fast cap it, and it looks like we're going to be losing this game in just a second. We're 3 tanks down. They've completely knocked out all of our heavy tanks that were defending the city, and now they're probably going to be pushing into our base. We have 3 tanks that are currently running back, the Sheridan, the Stridswagen, the TBP, and it looks like our offensive on the enemy base, although successful at first, may look like a disaster in the end, because the enemy team decided to stay back and wait for us to either cap or maybe push into them, but we didn't do any of that. We lost our vehicles that were able to do that, and we didn't do it as a unit, and thus we kind of failed right there. So why do I play the Leopard 1? Why do I say that this is the gameplay that I want to show you guys? Well, the Leopard 1 is an incredible vehicle. It's very versatile. It does have some downsides, which basically is the armor. But other than that, it's a tank that is so good in ranked or in just the standard game mode now that you can really do incredible things with it. And what you can see right here is the knowledge of the different mechanics of this game. I'm using the double bush tactic, or the non-transparent bush tactic, or the bush tactic where I move into the bush, spot them, I move back, I shoot them, and they don't spot me. And this is a spot that is priceless. This is where I'm going to be winning this game for my team. So the enemy team has also been a bit weird. Instead of pushing us now as a unit, they're moving into us one by one by one. That WZ-111 just decided to attack us by himself. The Ures 1516 thought that nobody was here anymore, that we had abandoned the enemy base, but I stayed here. I know that I have great camo values, I have great spotting, so I'm going to be playing very aggressively right here, or passive aggressive I would like to call this, because I spot the guys that are trying to come back to the base. You can see right there we spot the T110E5, and they don't really have any foliage right there to cover them up, and our spotting is just that good that we can see everything, and with a little bit of support from my friends in the artillery, we are able to keep that T110E5 occupied. And this must be a super uncomfortable and annoying situation for any player in the enemy team, because you can see We see the T-125, we have the crazy pen, we shoot at the cupola, we pen him, we knock him out of the game. We have 3 kills, 2,365 damage, and 1,326 spotting damage, and we spot the T-110E4, who also decides to move into the enemy base, and we pop him. We get lucky that the high explosive actually does not pen us, because if that high explosive shell would have penned us, that would have been a very, very hurtful 1,000 damage that we just taken there, and probably a completely wrecked tank for like 3 dead crew members, ammo wreck, fire, all of that stuff. We got lucky right there. We take out the T-110E4. We get our damage tally up to a total of 4,400, because we also get the assistance damage. And now it's quite interesting because we turned this game around again. It's a very interesting game, a game that constantly is on the turn, and we managed to get into a nice position with 7 vehicles versus 5. And we spot the Progetto 65, and you can see he decided to actually do the same thing as the E5, the UDES, and I think also, not even sure, is that another? That's a light tank right there. It might be our light tank. Unfortunately, our Sheridan dies. This Sheridan was playing a bit awkwardly. He decided to move in and spot, and then he fired through the bush when it was transparent, and you can see it hurt him. He was eliminated immediately. All 4 shells of the Progetto did pen, and very awkward situation right there. Now, obviously, we're trying to cap now. We've noticed that the Leopard is very far away, the E3 is very far away, and I've decided to go on cap, but their artillery is not very dumb. Their artillery is quite smart, and they fired that spot right there because everyone would be sitting at that position. So it gets close again because we spot the E3. Our STRV actually manages to push him. We put a shell into his side, and the E3 does knock out the Kranwagen, and it does look like it's a GG for us. We do spot the Leopard 1. I decide to play it safe and sit back here and camp and cap. But it looks like the Leopard 1 is going to be taken out by either the Stritzwagen or maybe the artillery. Right there already does its job again and gets its 5 HP damage, but a kill as well. And we decide to load high explosive shell with this tank and move in to finish off the artillery pieces. And I think we do get the last final kill on the batch at 155-58, and we win the game. So what you need to know when you're playing ranked is that it is quite vital to know what kind of role your vehicle is supposed to take in your team. This is a tank that is very versatile in my opinion. It is not good in city combat. It's not good being one of the breaching tanks, supposed to be somewhere in an offensive position where it doesn't have any cover or it gets spotted. It becomes one of the main targets because the Leopard 1 just doesn't have a lot of armor. So it does make this tank a bit more on the difficult side to play. It is very rewarding though if you can stay covert and under the wraps. And I've noticed that basically all my ranked games I've played in my Leopard 1. Maybe some of the ranked games, maybe also in the Object 430U, but most of the games I've played in the Leopard 1. And I've noticed that if you can stay hidden, if you can be a bit of a stealthy little vehicle, if you use your mobility, you can do a lot of damage with this tank. Especially if your team dies all over the place and you have to do something for yourself. You can outspot them, you can stay behind the bushes, you can still do some additional damage. The alpha on this tank is pretty damn crazy. You have like 400 and... I'm not even sure, is it 420 or 440? It might be 440. The alpha on this vehicle is incredible. You can get like 500 damage shots. And the rate of fire, the gun handling, everything is amazing about this tank. So I think that this was the easiest vehicle for me, but it's always subjective which is the best tank for you, because it depends on your playstyle. But I've noticed that the Leopard one is certainly the best tank for me for that kind of job. It's so fast, it's so mobile, it's amazing. It allows you so many options, and if you can utilize all those things, you can become a really great tanker in the ranked game mode. Just do not become toxic, it's not worth it. We won the game in the end. We did 4,000 something damage, got an additional 2,000 spotting damage, and we survived it. We killed 4 or 5 tanks, and we won the game for our team. And that's what I like about the ranked game mode, because it requires the best of your knowledge, the adaptation, the ability to adapt. I think let's call it the ability to adapt, the factor of luck as well, and just everything combined to have a great game to allow you to reach this kind of level of ending, or this kind of result in the end. That's exactly what you want to have, because we've played it well, we've done everything correctly. We worked with our team, especially with artillery, worked with our heavy tanks, or at least the Kranwagen, and with our STRV 103B. And if all those ingredients come together and you are able to bake an amazing cake, that's when you know you've had a good game. And I think I want to leave it at that. I see you guys on the next video, which is going to be a very interesting ranked game as well. It's going to be about artillery once again, and that game is absolutely filthy. And yeah, until then.